A narcotics researcher testified today that Indochina's heroin traffic is tied directly to South Vietnamese leaders and to foreign gangsters. Alfred W. McCoy, a Yale graduate student, told a Senate subcommittee that South Vietnam's heroin and opium traffic is divided between the political organizations of President Thieu, former Vice President Nguyen Cao Ky, and Premier Tran Thien Kim. In fact, said McCoy, Ky's sister buys heroin in Laos, has it shipped to Cambodia where it's picked up and flown to Saigon by planes of the Vietnamese 5th Air Division. McCoy said military leaders throughout Southeast Asia are mixed up in the illegal drug traffic, including some who work for the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency. McCoy also testified that the Florida-based Mafia family of Santo Trafficante Jr. and Corsican gangsters are deeply involved. What's more, he said, U.S. diplomats and intelligence agents know what's going on but aren't doing much about it. The State Department denied McCoy's accusations and said many of them had been made before.
With the Corsican pilot shut down, the CIA stepped in and provided transport for the Hmong opium crop. And the Hmong military leader, Vang Pao, actually started manufacturing heroin himself, and the chief of staff of the Laotian army was suspected of operating the largest heroin refinery in the entire world.
Well, again, I grew up in the South Bronx when there was a huge influx into New York of Puerto Ricans and African Americans, blacks.
Of the almost 900,000 Puerto Ricans in the United States, more than 600,000 live in New York City, in the ghetto called El Barrio, Spanish Harlem.
And my neighborhood, which changed pretty much overnight from the time I was, say, 11 to age 13 or so. And the people with money fled to the suburbs, they fled to the outskirts. We had no, we were very poor. My father had pretty much abandoned us, and my mom had to work, and then she remarried, and she actually remarried a pretty good guy, but it was a tough world, and he actually played for the Detroit Tigers. He was his name was Ike Goldstein. He was my stepfather, and my brother and I.
When would this have been?
This was in the 50s. And so my brother and I, my brother David and I, pretty much grew up on the street. And early on, like, my best friends were Puerto Ricans. And I fell in love with the culture, fell in love with the language. I started to pick it up as a kid. The music. Some people say with me it's more like past liars or something. In fact, when I was stationed by DEA in Argentina and people would get to know me, and I'd say, no, I'm a Jew from... they would say, no, you're Latino. But, being a Jew, that could mean anything.
Ethnically, sure.
Yeah. It could mean ethnically anything.
It could be. It could be a Spanish Jew.
Well, yeah. It goes into this strange otherworldly experiences that I've had. I actually got in a lot of trouble, but it happened before I was age 16. Otherwise, if I had been arrested after age 16, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of this camera. I couldn't have been hired. But as a juvenile, all my arrests were juvenile. They couldn't, by law, hold it against me to apply for the job. So I did apply for and get. So I had a lot of exposure to the police. I was a member of a street gang. They had, in those years, they had a gang unit, which was basically another street gang. And street gangs in those years didn't have the armament that they have now.
Rumbles.
We have rumbles, but rumbles they used to call it two different kinds of gangs. Bopping, a bopping gang or a burning club. If you were a gang, you had guns, and you had
heard that guy.
Yeah, that was, again, from the 50s.
This was the era of Cape Man and all that, right?
This was Cape Man. This was exactly that era. And
Egyptian vampires and
the vampires, the golden guineas.
What was your gang?
The young lord, the Lucky Lords. Lucky Lords. And there wasn't a thing lucky about us. And there was nothing royal about us either.
What exactly was your turf, or where did you grow up in the Bronx?
The South Central Bronx. South Central, around Tremont Avenue and Southern Boulevard. And we really banded together to kind of protect, protection. Just so you had a name of a gang. I got into serious trouble. My brother started fooling with dope and eventually became a heroin addict and died. I didn't. I was afraid.
So when did you think he started using?
I don't know for sure. But by the time he was
Late 50s?
Yeah.
In the bad parts of New York City, heroin was already available in the late 50s.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.